Hello my hungry friends! Today we're making pierogi with strawberries. Pierogi z truskawkami. Welcome back friends! This is Polish Your Kitchen and I'm Anna. Today we are making one of Poland's favorites, pierogi. And since strawberries are in season, we're gonna shove them in the pierogi dough and we're gonna make some fruit pierogi. That's what Poles do. We just make pierogi out of everything. I'm gonna start by making my dough. I have this is my recipe that I follow to make all of my pierogi, and it's super easy. It's 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, and 300 milliliters of warm water. Or that's 1 cup and 1.5 eighths of a cup. So almost 1 1/4 cup. So just kind of judge, but this is pretty good measure. The water may depend a little bit on how big the egg is, but it's about the same. And what I do, I always use my hook attachment to the KitchenAid, and I toss the salt in and just give it a stir and wiggle the egg and pop that in, and then I turn on the hook on the lowest setting, and I just pour the water in and let the attachment do the work. I don't worry about trying to measure, is it enough water, is it enough flour. This recipe for me always turns out. And I'm gonna let this go until a nice dough forms. You might have to move it around a little bit to get the flour in there, but a nice dough will form from this, and then I'll take it out and roll it out, and Bob's your uncle. There's a lot of debate about, I see on between my viewers and on Polish food recipes pages in general, about whether to add oil to the dough or whether to add sour cream. And the thing is, you make the dough the way you like it. I like an egg in mine because it makes the dough a little bit firmer, and I roll it out thin enough that it doesn't make the pierogi doughy. If you don't add the egg, the dough is going to be a little bit softer. And they say that you're supposed to add the egg if you're making pierogi with raw meat, because they have to boil for a little bit longer. But I just follow this recipe. I have worked on it for a while, and I've worked it out to just come out every time. So I don't mess with it. I just use it for all of my pierogi. And if you want to take a look, a ball of dough kind of formed, but it's still pretty kind of chunky. So I'm gonna kind of let it go for a little bit longer and let it work and let it become smooth. And then we're gonna rest it for a little bit, not too long, just enough to get the rest of our ingredients ready. So however long that's gonna be. As I mentioned, we're making fruit pierogi today, and strawberries are in season in Poland in June, and then they kind of go away. I mean, you can still buy them, but they're not as good anymore. They're not so juicy and sweet. And the difference between Polish strawberries and strawberries that I've had around the world is that they're a lot smaller. There's not very many of these big guys, but they're a lot sweeter, and they're kind of soft and juicy. They're just amazing. So I saw them at the market. They are in full swing now. So I thought this is a good time to make these. You can also do blueberry, which blueberries are in season a little bit later here. I think they start end of July and into August. which that's gonna be nice too, because we can go blueberry picking and make pierogi out of that too. We're gonna go with strawberries, so the dough is almost done. We're gonna rest this, and in the meantime, we're gonna wash these and prepare them for stuffing. My dough has been working for just a couple minutes, and you can see how smooth it is now. Can you see? So I'm gonna turn this off now. Maybe a little lumpy still. Maybe a little bit longer. So just watch your dough. Once it becomes smooth, take it out, cover it with plastic, and prepare your strawberries. All right, we are ready with our pierogi today. I'm a true pierogi maker. Apron like this, get it? Link in description for my merch shop. I have aprons and t-shirts and sweatshirts, whatever else you would like, hats even, and totes. And my merch shop is just one way to kind of keep my website and these videos going, because this is my job now. So please support my shop. Thank you. I have prepped my strawberries. I tried to cut them up into kind of even pieces. If you were using blueberries, you would do nothing to them. I just like cutting up the strawberries instead of putting whole ones in there, just because I don't like them kind of bursting with juice when they're cooked, and they cook more evenly. So to my cut up strawberries, I'm gonna add a little bit of sugar, not a whole lot because these are plenty sweet. And you're just gonna have to kind of judge on your own how much you want in there. You can not add any sugar either, and that would be fine. I'm just adding a little bit to kind of give them a little bit extra sweetness. But that's about it. That was probably half a teaspoon or so. And recipe for these are also on my blog, and link is right below. So our strawberries are ready, and because I've added sugar to them, they're gonna produce a little bit of juice, but that's okay. And as we were preparing, I've washed the strawberries obviously and cut them up, and as we were doing that, our dough was resting. It's always good to rest your dough a little bit. Makes the dough easier to roll out. I'm gonna get a little bit of flour on here. Not too much, and onto my hands so it doesn't stick. And I'm gonna cut probably a third out of this and roll it out. This is probably also a good time to start a pot of water, because as soon as we're done with these, I want to flour my surface here a little bit more so they don't stick. As soon as we're done with these, we're going to pop them in the hot bath, and they'll be ready for eating. I'll move some things around here, the sugar, and roll them out as thin as you can. I've made these tons and tons of times, obviously, because I have the apron, so I must have. So I'm pretty good at judging the thickness of the dough, but try and go as thin as you can go without it breaking, or without it breaking open while it's boiling. So it's kind of a dance that you have to learn as you go, but it's not super difficult. And as our dough rested, it kind of becomes a little bit less springy. Is that a word?
Yes.
And by that I mean it's not gonna spring back while you're rolling it. I mean, it will still a little bit, but That's because it's dough. That's what it does. But try to do your best. You can take a smaller piece of dough if you want to make it a little bit easier. And kind of judge. I think this is good for me. It's pretty thin, but it still has enough thickness to hold our filling. So I think I'm going to stop now. I have this little handy dandy circle cutter. I like to use it. It's metal with a wooden handle. I bought it on Amazon. I also have a link in my in the description of this video for it. But it's about 3 inches across. But you can use a glass or a metal can, whatever you have at home. You don't need this circle cutter to obviously to make these. So I'm gonna cut out however many this my round allows, and we're gonna go to boiling.
Oh, I have a question.
What's your question?
Do you top these with sauteed onions, like you do other pierogi?
I do bacon.
Oh, bacon. Yeah, I can see that. Sweet and salty.
I'm just kidding. For these, we don't do anything crazy. We just do sour cream. Preferably while they're still hot, the pierogi. Put a dollop of cold sour cream on it and a little tiny sprinkle of sugar.
One pierogi is called what?
Pierog. 1 pierog.
And 3 pierogis are?
Pierogi. Mark's learning, Mark, my husband, the cameraman, director, and producer, was learning Polish recently. Okay, and now the easy part. Get your kids and put a little bit in there. You can also do, when you're doing the blueberry, you would put a few blueberries on here and sprinkle of sugar. You could have done the same with strawberries, but I just mixed it in. It doesn't matter. And then you just seal them. Here they are. And I also have a video. See how thin my dough came out? That's kind of nice. Try to get it thin too, but careful so they don't fall apart while boiling. But what I was gonna say is I also have a video in my channel about sealing pierogi, and I'm showing you 3 methods. And there's pinching method, which was normally what we did at my home because it's the easiest. There's the forking method. That's a good one for kids because they don't have to know how to pinch these really well. They can just do them with a fork. And there is a new method that I learned recently. I think I called it folding method or something. I can't remember now, but the names are all made up by me, so. And I'm gonna go through this filling and make a batch, about probably 10, and then we'll pop them in my pot, boiling water in the back, and finish them off. And then we'll eat them because they're delicious. I have made a batch of pierogi with strawberries, and my water is boiling. So what you want to do is then turn it down to medium-low, because we only want the water to kind of simmer but never roll, because when it rolls it will kill our pierogi. They'll start falling apart, especially when they're thin as I made them today for the strawberry filling. So kind of be aware of that. I'm gonna salt the water a little bit because salt is flavor. I'm gonna put a teaspoon of salt in here. And I'm also gonna add a little bit of oil, whatever oil you have, vegetable oil. And as the pierogi are dropping into the water, they'll get a little coat of that oil, so then when we take them out, they don't stick. And very gently, we're gonna toss them onto our water. And we want to do this in batches so they don't stick together and make a big clump. But they're floating freely. I have a pretty large pot, so there's plenty of room for all of them. And I'm just dropping them one by one, kind of trying to give them space. Don't crowd your pot. And see how some of them are starting to float to the top. And sometimes if they fall down to the bottom, just give the pot a stir like this, or not a stir, a turn, a spin, and that way they kind of get off the bottom and start floating. And you see how the water cooled off once I put them in there. And there's no bubbles coming. I mean, there's barely any because it's still boiling water. But it's very low simmer. And the dough needs just a little bit of time to cook. And since we don't really care whether the strawberries are cooked on the inside or not, we can just make sure the dough is cooked and not kind of chewy and raw on the inside. So once they float to the top, they're only going to need like a couple of minutes. And then they'll be ready. Preferably, we put them in, we take them out, straight to the plate and serve them. That's when they taste the best. But if you can't do that and you want to freeze them, because as we know, we make a serving and then we have like 150 left over, and you want to freeze them, you would boil them first and then lay them out on the sheet or on your countertop, wherever you have room, and let them cool completely. And then put them on a tray, depending on how big your freezer is, I guess. Put them on a tray if you can fit a whole tray in your freezer. Freeze them solid, then put them in a zip top bag, and you can store them in the freezer. And then when you're ready to eat, just put them in boiling water or in simmering water, just enough to kind of heat them through. And then done. Obviously, we're not going to eat 150 pierogi all in one sitting, so you can make a smaller batch or you can make it for the whole family, and then you don't have to freeze them. I think these are ready. You can see the strawberries through the thin dough, and they're happy and ready for tasting. So just gently take them out. I'm gonna put a few on my plate right away, and the rest onto my plate here for the lucky family members. But kids will love these too. Do strawberries or blueberries or whatever you like. And then we would do a dollop of cold sour cream. Oh, my mouth's watering. Is yours? Mm-hmm. And these aren't dessert pierogi. They're dinner pierogi, actually. So, and then I'm just gonna do a tiny bit of sugar, just because I already put some on the inside. Ho, 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 ho. And smear this around. And now watch your garments, because often when you pop these open, there's the juice of strawberry comes out. Look, aren't they beautiful? Let's give it a taste. Lava. The dough is cooked. Oh my god, these are so good. Make them for your kids, they'll love you. Because food is awesome and it's delicious. And they can help you. I hope you come back and cook with me again. Enjoy these pierogi. Subscribe to my channel so I know to make more videos for you. And come back and watch us again. Smacznego!